Welcome to the Newsa-Cast YouTube channel. These Red Smith Banquet throwbacks are exclusive interviews of sports legends, powerful media personalities, and influential coaches. You won't find these anywhere else. Subscribe below and enjoy. All right, Tosh, it is that time again, once again, for the Red Smith Banquet throwback. We go back to 2011, where we honored Milwaukee Brewer Jeff Cirillo. Along with that year, we had Ron Dane, Wisconsin Badger running back, and we had Greg Gumbel, who we actually released in a throwback earlier that you can catch in the catalog. Greg Gumbel was the featured speaker that year, Tash, at the Radisson Paper Valley Hotel.
Yeah, and we get a great look at Wisconsin sportscaster Dennis Krause, who introduces Jeff Cirillo that year. We think you're going to enjoy this one.
Absolutely. 2011 from the Radisson Paper Valley Hotel, the Red Smith Sports Award Banquet.
Please welcome Dennis Krause.
Thank you very much, and what a privilege to be here at this great event. I know what you're thinking. You're saying Matt LePay won 6 times, and we can understand that. Smooth, incredible. How'd this guy win 4 times? And the answer is great hair. It's very clear. Youth sports important to me since I was cut in back-to-back years in high school basketball. So ever since then, I've had a special fondness for it. But you talk about the great ones make it look easy. Greg Gumbel makes it look easy, and it's not. To do the play-by-play that he does, to do the studio shows, whip around all the different games. So it's an honor to be up here with Greg and with all these other great people here tonight at this event. You didn't come to hear me talk. You want to hear from Jeff Cirillo. And Jeff Cirillo was born in Pasadena, California, where Ron had some of his great moments. Played college baseball at USC, spent 14 years playing Major League Baseball, 8 of them with the Brewers. Jeff Cirillo is the Brewers' all-time career batting average leader at .306. 1994 through 1999 were not great years for the Brewers as a team. This was pre-Doug Melvin, of course. Jeff was a bright spot, 2-time All-Star, 1997, and then later in 2000. .296 career hitter. In addition to the Brewers, he played with Colorado, Seattle, San Diego, Minnesota, and Arizona. 99 straight games at one point without an error at third base. That shares the Major League record. Not bad. Yep. Not bad for a guy who didn't play third until college. But he had an obsession to improve, and he improved. There are a few things, though, that are much important than the numbers that I was just talking about. Jeff showed his resilient spirit and pure love for the game when, after a few tough years and being released, he went to play winter ball in Mexico at the age of 35. He wanted to rebuild his swing and get one more shot at the majors. As Doug Melvin can tell you, he virtually begged Doug for an invite to spring training in 2005. He got that invite, made the team, started on opening day, and hit a home run. Now, that's a pretty good comeback story. He spent 2 more seasons with the Brewers. Now, also important to know about Jeff is that he's held a charity golf classic in the summer to raise money to help people get out of poverty. He has a heart for the homeless, first getting involved in the cause through his church. When his kids are older, he looks forward to coaching or managing. He'll be an excellent hitting coach, no question about that. He likes to mentor kids using baseball to teach life lessons. He believes kids should play more than just one sport. He also was a fine basketball player in high school. Jeff told me on a Sports 32 show last year that he hopes Brewers fans remember him as a guy who loved to play in this state. He loves its family values. He says there's no better place to play. He would have loved to have spent his whole career here. This was his favorite place to play. Jeff and his family live in Bellevue, Washington. He and his wife Nancy have 3 boys. He's done some scouting with the Arizona Diamondbacks. And interestingly, he owns the Walla Walla Sweets, a West Coast League team that's a summer collegiate wooden bat league team. Now, we share the same birth date of September 23rd, but Jeff is obviously younger and certainly better looking, with impressive hair that I'm very bitter about. It is my pleasure to present the Nice Guy Award to Jeff Cirillo.
Thank you, Dennis. I don't know, Ron, I think you're being a little too humble. When I saw the thing, I was like, Great Gumbel, I get to meet with Ron Dane. The Great Dane. I was at his Super Bowl, by the way, in Tampa when they played the Ravens. And true to his Wisconsin native, he wore his high Red Sox for you guys when he was with the Giants. I remember seeing him on the Red Sox, and I remember that. I just want to introduce some of the people in the back that came with me from the foundation. Rick Zern, Nick, and Jenny G. I can't say her last name because it's too hard to say. But they're in the back, and thank you for coming out here and being such good representatives of the golf tournament and with SDF. Golf tournament is June 16th, 2 days after Father's Day. Something that's really important to me is family shelters. 2007, my last year playing, I figured I'd get back. I'm in Bellevue, Washington, and I wanted to get back to my community. And lo and behold, through the church, I was doing something, and a buddy of mine was like, you know what, I can't make it. They were moving Tent City over to our church for the week. And I said, you know what, I'll take it on. He's like, I could really use some help. I didn't know what I was taking on at that time, dealing with shelter and these guys, and, you know, everyone has these misconceptions and things of guys in the street and whatever. And by the end of that week, I learned that these guys were just guys that had just fallen on hard times or kind of given up, didn't give up. When they fell down, they didn't give up. Smart guys, some of them too. And I learned more from them in that 1 week than they learned from me. So I was like, you know what, if I have the opportunity, I'm going to do something like that. And the one place that my name really was strong was in Milwaukee. And I always felt that this was a place that I could use that and put it to good use. So that charity is for, it's not just for men's shelter, it's for family shelter and for all kids and all families. And we did a really good job last year. So hopefully that'll go again good this year. It's at Geneva National. That's my last plug. Anyway, let me give you a microcosm into my own life here. Because I won't run down what I do. I'll just give you kind of a rundown of what I did on yesterday. Yesterday, I was going to come out early, or Monday, come out Monday early, and I changed my flight because I coached my youngest son, AEU basketball team. They were playing a basketball game, and I was like, well, I really don't want to miss that. And I was like, well, I can take a flight at 1. Well, then my other son had a basketball game, and I didn't want to miss his basketball game. And then my other son, I didn't really get to spend much time with him for the weekend, so I went and took him golfing. So I took him golfing. So I'm like, okay, well, the last flight out is a red-eye. So last night, or this morning, as it may be, because it was delayed, left at around 12:01 out of Seattle. So I took a red-eye flight. And I was like, wow, the last time I was on a red-eye flight, it was kind of strange. Someone kind of fainted in the back, and it was kind of scary and whatever. I'm like, whatever, let's just go. We're going to do it. So I go out. I get on the plane, and about 30 minutes later, I'm like, man, my stomach is kind of hurting. I had sushi for dinner. I'm like, gosh, it was a long flight. Oh, my gosh, 4 hours being sick on a plane. Oh, no. Then the bell rings. No one can get up. It's dark. It's hot on the plane, and my neck starts getting clammy, too. And I'm like, oh, gosh. Oh, my gosh. So I'm like, oh, I'm not going to make it. So I'm going to the back. I go to the back, and I've got my eyes closed, and I'm dragging my fingers across the top of the plane. And just right when I open my eyes, I buckle. I go down. Last night, no lie, this morning, I was on the ground. Right? I'll get to that. I was on the ground. The lady's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get sick. She's like, no, here's some oxygen. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm this guy right now. I am that guy. So I'm like, after about 10 minutes, I'm like, hey, my stomach feels a lot better. This is a way better proposition than going in that bathroom and going down and laying down there for 2 hours or 4 hours, whatever it may be. I'm just going to take a little nap right here. So here I am, Jeff Cirillo, in the flesh right here, 14 years in the major leagues, laying in the back of the plane with the oxygen tank, sleeping. And I'm like, I'm tired, and I got to be ready tomorrow. So I go back to my seat finally with the oxygen tank now, holding it, strapping it on and everything. And, I think I'm a pretty nice guy, and I'm just telling the lady, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I just emphatically, she's like, no, you'd be bored otherwise, and I'm like, all right. So I go to sleep, and I just go back to sleep for 3 hours, which was great, right? You got full oxygen. I feel good. It's better than going to that oxygen bar in Vegas, right? That's $15. I got 4 hours worth. So we get off the plane, and I'm feeling much better. I give the thing. I give the lady a hug. And then I go back, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. The person next to me forgot their sweater. Here, let me go get their sweater. So I go out and give them the sweater, come out, go to Appleton, get here. I'm cold. So lo and behold, I think I'm going to be like, oh, wow, okay. Now I have a bag packed. I'm just going to buy a shirt when I get there because I didn't really, iron my shirt, so I'll just buy a new shirt. Well, I looked in my bag, and in Appleton, down the street, there's no mall. There's no street. There's no shopping center. So lo and behold, the committee member, Mike Reese, where are you? I got a shirt on tonight. So I would have to say in 46 years of this Red Smith Banquet, there's not been a guy that had oxygen tank the day of the deal and probably forgot his dress shirt. So that's kind of my life. I love my kids. I love coaching my kids. I love coaching kids, period. I'm all over the place. I'm super busy. And sometimes I'm kind of dysfunctional. But you know what? I fall down and I get up. That's the moral of the story on that one. A little background on the baseball career. That is true. When I was a freshman in college, and it was back in the days when kids had to choose. You either were a pitcher or a hitter. And I went to USC. My dad was right there, and he says, well, he wants to pitch and hit. And he's like, oh, no. But in college, in major college, you usually have to pick one or the other, either pitch or hit. So my freshman year, I didn't hit. My sophomore year, I was like, hey, don't rock the boat. I wasn't very good. I had a 7 ERA. I don't want to lose my scholarship, blah, blah, blah. No. And my dad, he says, no. He needs to honor his commitment. He says, you're going to USC, you get to pitch, and you get to at least try to hit. So I'm like, all right, whatever, don't rock the boat. So I remember, and then, I don't know if anyone's been to LA, but the traffic gets pretty bad, especially after 2:30. And I lived 45 minutes away, and school starts around September. We had fall baseball. Our birthdays are September 23rd. It takes me 45 minutes. I remember my college baseball coach saying we were hitting. I said, Coach, is it all right if I leave early today so I can go have a birthday dinner with my mom and my parents back in the valley? All right. So back in as practice went on, it got to be about 2:30. I'm like, I got to get out of here. Hey, Coach, I got to go. Your dad seems to think you can hit. Oh my gosh, you son of a gun. You just the whole team's there, right? I'm like, you son of a gun. So I finished up my swings and hit. 4 years later, my college coach, who went into the baseball hall of, or college baseball hall of fame, he always looks at me and goes, I always knew you could hit. So it's one of those things that was just a belief that I just knew. I just knew, and then I didn't play third base until I was a senior in college, and I got drafted as an 11th round. Not a lot of money. In fact, the Brewers drafted a guy 2 years after I was drafted with the third player picked in the country was a third baseman. So, but he didn't have that desire, that ability to just keep going. And it's kind of the thing, it was just kind of like finish what you start. I graduated from college. That's probably one of my highest honors for myself. I wasn't the best student, but I did finish what I started. And I think today, Doug, I don't know if you can tell us, how many major leaguers are graduates of college? I think it's like 5%. It's a really small number, but it's something that I hold very dear to myself. So lo and behold, Doug didn't know what he was getting into when he saw a guy like me who had been pushed off and shoved down away for a long time. So when I was able to come back, I remember I struggled so poorly in Seattle with my hitting stroke, and I lost my confidence. I lost my ability to trust myself and my own abilities, that if my son, who was 6 at the time, if he would have asked me in the backyard, he said, Dad, how do you hit? I'd have been like, I don't know. Sorry. Go read the manual. Here, we'll go buy Tony Gwynn's book. So I went to Mexico, and I said, you know what? I'm going to give this one last shot. I did. I changed some things. I had the ability to say, okay, this is not working. I'm going to change. I'm going to go as a 35-year-old man to Mexico in the Winter League. And when I got the Spanish players saying, Señor Cirillo, ¿qué pasa? Why are you here? Why are you here? What are you doing here? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just trying to work on something. So, but my greatest achieving moment in baseball had to be when Randy Johnson, my lowest moment in baseball was Randy Johnson when he struck me out. It's in the book, 6th paragraph down. 4,000 strikeout, right? 4,000 strikeout it was. I was with the Padres. I was not playing a lot. I felt like a poodle on a string. Just like, go get Randy Johnson. All right. So I was his fourth on strikeout. After the game, I feel horrible. You feel like everything's on you, and not really. Fast forward, he's enjoying himself. I've gone through Mexico now. I've had to beg my way to the Brewers spring training, work my way onto the roster. We're playing the Yankees in Miller Park. Second at bat, I friggin' take him deep. 1 year later, take him deep, right? Upper deck to left field, right? He didn't know that I was pulling off the ball at the time. But take him deep. The next day, Randy Johnson, this one, he's kind of in a little funk with the Yankees, right? And he's sitting over there at Miller Park. Any of you guys been to Miller Park? Third base, I'm taking grounders. He's way over there. The visitors thing is, he's way over there, and he's looking at me, and he's like, ball in? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, good pitch? Yeah. I'm like, come on out here. So he comes out there, and he's kind of strange anyway. So he goes, hey, Jeff. He goes, Jeff, you never get to that pitch. How did you hit that pitch? And I said, well, Randy, I go, you're really dropping your elbow, and you're totally fanning all your pitches. So he just, I just knew that guy, being pitchers, I don't know if you know pitchers, they're, they can be a little screwy, and if they think that they're tipping their pitches or they're dropping their arm slot. So I knew that I'd made it back when Randy Johnson's asking me about, how he hit that pitch on him. So finish what you start. Congratulations to all the scholarships, the Red Smith Banquet, and all the committee. Love being in Milwaukee and Wisconsin. Excuse me. Love being in Wisconsin. Thank you.
Please subscribe to this channel, give this video a thumbs up, and hit that notification bell so you get notified when we post another great episode or interview. Download the podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for your support.